The way the governor runs, which is actually really great, that if he has a problem, an issue, he'll bring in whatever cabinet members he's got to solve it, and he just solves it right there. It just gets done. So he's in Akron trying to solve a problem, and just wanted to get it done.
Besides that, he's your boss.
And he pays me the big bucks.
Yeah.
The big bucks.
The big bucks. Yeah. Oh boy. Anyway, but this is actually a good example of what we tried to do for a whole cabinet level. I'll give you an example. Something we'll be announcing in a couple of weeks. There was this big distribution center, and it was going to go up in Toledo, in the Toledo area, and they weren't going to do it because it was part of the distribution center was connected to Michigan, a Michigan distribution center. And I've told the story a couple times, but anyway, they were coming in. They're bringing in Michigan loads into the distribution center, which are 120,000 pounds on a truck. But we have a law or a regulation that says they can only ship 80,000 pounds out, which is an Ohio load. And the company is going to hire close to 500 people, 500,000 square feet, like $30 million investment. It's a big deal, right? And so the guy says, well, we can't do it because it's not efficient for us to put another one there. We'll just put it in Michigan or we'll put it in Indiana. And so the guy called me up, and this is typical. This is one thing that's cool about working with this governor is the governor's literally having a meeting. The governor's heading the meeting with the director of transportation and 4 or 5 other folks. I walk in the meeting, we have a rule, just like you just saw. If we got to do something for economic development, we can call anybody out of the meeting. That was a little bit rude to you guys, but this is kind of how we work. You know what I mean? And so I pulled the director of transportation out of the governor's meeting. I said, Jerry, this doesn't make any sense. You know, it's the same road. Is one side stronger than the other? You know, it doesn't make any sense to me. He goes, yeah, it doesn't make sense to me either. And so he called back in 90 minutes and said, good, it's done, it's approved. And so now we've worked through the whole process, and we'll now have 500 new jobs up near Toledo, a 500,000 square foot facility. So that's the kind of thing we want to do with JobsOhio. That's more work. I mean, that's more working within the government in that case. But those are the kind of movements we want to have.
And so as all these jobs are created, and we have a workforce that some portion is not employable right now. It's part of your scope to say, what can we do to address this group?
It's actually, the governor just appointed, one of the big issues the state had with the $8 billion deficit was Medicaid. And so he appointed Greg Moody to oversee health transformation across the whole state. And it turns out Medicaid was in like 4 different government departments. It was in Jobs and Family Services, there was part in development, there was part in this, that, and the other thing. So he kind of looked at unifying the whole thing, and actually they saved about $1.5 billion or something like that. Exact number. Anyway, he just appointed last week Rich Fredericks, who's going to do the same thing for workforce. Because one of the problems you have with workforce training is it's with the Board of Regents, it's with Jobs and Family Services, there's some in development, and so it's spread all across, and it's very inefficient. So first of all, let's look at what the resources we have, number one. The second thing is we believe, we're working on it, but one of the key issues, and this is probably more Kwamme's opinion than I'd call it a government opinion, is that we've gotten away from a lot of vocational training. I mean, when I went to high school, I had an auto, I could do auto shop, I could do wood shop, I could do a lot of those things. A lot of the vocational training stuff isn't there. And then we lost it also in a lot of our community colleges. And so what we're trying to do is figure out, one of the biggest, about 40% of the community colleges funding comes from the government through accreditation credits, right? It comes through the state. But there's no accredited program for claims adjusters. There's no accredited program for welders. There's no accredited program for mechanics. I'm a French degree. If I want to get a French degree, I can take all the French classes and it's accredited, and the community college gets approval.